Thank you, Detra, for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitin, for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful, Detra. So, Detra, I wanted to dive into your background and your experiences and you have such a rich background when it comes to customer experiences. And I know you and I appreciate you so much. For our audience members that may not be as familiar with you, would you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background?
Sure. Again, good afternoon. And again, thank you for having me on your show. I'm Detra Whitmore, Vice President of Customer Experience at Trinity Metro. And we are the transit agency serving citizens in Fort Worth, Texas. I like to think that I hold the record of having the most titles here at the organization after being here, 16 years, right? But in my current role, I really focus on the customer. My day consists of having the opportunity to really solve issues for our customers. Putting our customers in the center of what we do is very important, and, in anything, but especially in transit, because, we want our customers to have a great experience when using transit services because people can be really nervous using transit. And we also want them to be successful. And what I mean by that is making sure that our fare collection systems are working properly for them, accepting their transit tickets, accepting their credit cards, and then also making sure the apps that we're asking them to download on their smartphones are dependable. So, I get the joy of having fun. And I tell my team, I have fun every day. Every day is different. There's always another opportunity to do something different, and I really enjoy it.
Wonderful, wonderful, Detra. So, Detra, in your everyday life, I know you are very focused on the customer and in improving their day-to-day experiences. And you also have a very large volume of customers that you are taking care of. When your management or your CEO comes to you and says, "Great job," what are they typically relying on you for?
What I feel that he's relying on me to do is continuing to really have a great rapport with our customers and individuals in the community. Continuing to be that ambassador for our agency to encourage more people to use transit, to have that opportunity to really benefit from the services. I think relationships are big. Those are really important because relationships turns into great partnerships. But really focusing on people is the main thing that I know he's counting on me to do. Not only our customers, but also our employees.
Yeah, and Detra, just having known you and in our prior conversations, I know that the employee experience is also something that you are very passionate about, along with the customer experience. So let's dive into both of these for our audience. When you are focusing on the customer experience and when you're focusing on the employee experience, what are some of the challenges that you are often faced with? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Nitin. Thank you. Yes, employee experience and customer experience, those two go hand in hand. I find that, when we're trying to improve the employee or the customer experience over here, we got to remember you have an employee that's interacting with the customer. And if your employees are not happy, or if they've had a bad day, that customer is going to feel it. So, we've started here at Trinity Metro, we've started the diversity and inclusion program where we're looking at how can we really improve the culture in our organization, create a healthy work environment for our team members. So they are wanting to be here. They're happy while they're here. They enjoy being around their coworkers. And for me, what I see is when that happens, it spills over into the community and our customers benefit from that. So that's one of the things that we are working on at our organization. We have awesome team members at our organization, but I want people, and it's hard to say, I want people to feel like I feel. When I walk through the doors of Trinity Metro, I take ownership and I just do a pause and say, this is mine, and I enjoy what I do. So, and I see that in a lot of our team members, but I want to pull it out a lot more in the others, so that we all can feel just valued. And again, when your company, everything is on all cylinders working together, your customers will benefit from it because they feel that positive energy coming from your organization.
That is so wise and so insightful of you, Detra, to focus on the employee experience. Especially, I feel that is important across different other verticals and other industries as well, but especially in your world, that is so critical because, like you said, the employees, especially those on the front lines, are engaging and dealing with the customer every day. And so I completely get the benefit of focusing on the employee experience. um, can you please talk about um, maybe your recent or any customer journey or employee journey mapping exercise or project that you did in the past? Um, if you can just help our viewers understand what was the challenge you were trying to solve, how you evaluated, customer or employee experiences over there, and finally, what was the end result or benefit for your organization in doing that?
Okay, sure. And when we talk about customers, customers are very different today than they were 10 years ago, right? Even 2 years ago, as we all have to deal with COVID. Things are different.
Yeah.
But although people are changing, everyone still wants to be treated with respect and kindness. And I really continue to really encourage my team to be the experts of our agency, to be more social, which is another way to really ease the anxiety of our customers and make them feel comfortable. And as I mentioned, COVID, packing our patients is extremely important also. One of the things that come to mind, Nadine, is I was working with a customer who is not very happy, is upset. And we're working on trying to make his experience much better in using transit. So he wants to be able to, we book trips on our access service, and he wants to be able to go straight to his trip, to his destination. And access is a shared ride. And one of the things that he would call and he would complain and he's unhappy. So I decided to, ask the team for his phone number so that I can call him. And it just happened yesterday. So this is perfect timing. And I would hear that he's upset and he keeps calling and just didn't hear any outcome of what we were doing. So I decided to call him yesterday. And I spoke with him. We were on the phone for, I know, about an hour. And I told him, I'm calling because I'm hearing that you're unhappy, and that makes me unhappy. So I need to make sure that you have a best experience using transit. How can I help you do that? And so we talked, and I said, well, have you ever tried any of our other modes of transit? We have other services. And so he said, no. I said, well, I said, if it's okay with you, I will map out a trip for you and see how that works instead of using your door-to-door paratransit service that you're using right now. And so he was open to that. And it's really more about just giving customers options. Your customers know what they want, but then they don't know what they want, right? So it's up to us as customer care professionals to really be able to be psychics. We should be able to read our customers' minds without being insulting, but just offering that extra assistance to them that they probably were not even thinking about. And so we are actually mapping this trip, working on that today, so that we can get back with him on other options that he can use while using transit. Because everyone that touches our organization, I want them to be happy. You know, I tell my board of directors, one complaint is too many for me. That's one too many. And I know everyone can't always be happy, but we can really make the effort to make sure every customer is taken care of.
Now that's a great example, Detra. Thank you for sharing that. Let me unpack it a little bit for our audience because I think you laid out a lot of gold in there. So you had this situation with one passenger, and you know what we call what we refer to this, Detra, in the customer journey world is a moment of truth. This was a key moment of truth for that customer where the experience was not optimized for them. And so by you having a conversation and giving them these different options, what you really did, Detra, was, and I'm sharing this for our audience that may not be as familiar with this, is you basically converted that moment of truth into a peak point or a moment that elevated their experience. Had you just ignored that passenger or that customer or their pain, then it was, you could have assumed that it's just one individual, right? But I really love your philosophy of one is too many, when it comes to complaints or unhappy customers, right? And so you solve that pain, but in from the customer's perspective, that moment became a peak moment. And now with that experience that they're having, their experience with you and your organization got elevated, and they will continue to be a loyalist, right? And this is something in our customer journey practice, Detra, we recommend to a lot of clients as well. What we recommend is think of it like Lego blocks that kids play with, right? I know adults play with it as well, but you know how it is with the Lego blocks, they connect to each other, and the way they connect to each other is through certain points. And those are what we call, again, the moments of truth. It is so vital for every organization to focus on these moments of truth, because if you focus on them like you did, Detra, then they become peak moments or peak points, and customers can connect with you better. They connect with the organization better. Satisfaction goes up, loyalty goes up, revenue goes up. It comes with all those benefits. Now,
Right.
these moments of truth, as you know, Detra, can also become what we call as pit points. Pit points are, you could have very easily assumed, well, it's only one customer. Why should I spend my time, right, focusing on them? It becomes a pit moment for them. They're disappointed. They'll go vent. And in your case, in your organization, Data, I think what you recognized was it's not just one. Maybe this same issue may be happening for several others, right? And
Right.
so by addressing it with one, I think you also led the way for your team on how they can handle some of these, issues or complaints, right?
Right.
Um, so I just wanted to put the focus on what you said, because I want our viewers to understand this is really the power of focusing on moments and moments of truth, and leveraging it to enhance the customer's experience.
Right. And it's funny you mentioned moments. One of the things that we implemented here was the wow moment certificate, which is we present that to our team members when they go above and beyond what they normally do. And so people really get excited about receiving their wow moment certificates. It's something even peer to peer. If we have a team member who's done a great job and their coworker notices it, they send their emails to me. Our customers, for instance, when we have a driver who, the customer knows because we're talking transit, they know that, the driver's going to stop at the bus stop and pick them up. But when a driver goes the extra mile to kneel the bus when they see someone with bags of groceries, and not only that, get out of their seat and help them on the bus with their bags of groceries, that's a wow moment. That's creating those wow moments for our customers where they're not expecting you to do something that you don't normally do. And so that's going over very well. And people are really, our team members are really, they're in competition with each other to see who can get the most wow moments. So those things really help with the customer experience, tying to employee experience, empowering our team members to be the very best for our customers and for each other. So we try to put those two together here at Trinity Metro. But yeah, it's a great journey. When I even started this whole customer relations division, we didn't have this here at our organization. We created this in 2019 by just, sitting down and saying, we're not putting our customers in the center of what we do, which is why we're all here anyway, right? It's the customer that's supporting all of our businesses that we have. And so it's just been a great journey to tap into the world of customer experience where there are companies that really want to make a difference that actually have an impact on their customer, not just coming in to purchase something or just getting on the bus to ride to their destination, but what is the impact that you're making on your customer? For transit is getting people to education, healthcare, jobs, right? And where they're able to be successful to take care of their families. So that's the impact that transit has with the customers.
Yeah, no, I completely concur with you, Detra. And, this is why I love chatting with you because of your super focus on the customer and the customer centricity that you bring to the table, and in the transit space, as well as in the aviation space that we do a lot of work in, this is really the guidance we give to a lot of our clients as well. You spoke about the wow moments for your employees and how that elevates the customer experience. It reminded me actually of one of our other clients, Nika. She is the director of aviation at Albuquerque Sunport. And, she identified, we were doing a project for her at one time, and we were focusing on, well, how do we enhance the customer experience? So we were looking at all the touch points or all these moments of truth. Nika, like you, is hyper focused on the customer and on getting the organization to look at everything from how does this benefit the customer at the airport. And one thing that had been in the pipeline, and I can talk about this because Nika talked about it, so it's in the public domain. One of the things that was there was, well, do we take away, do we implement automated checkpoints when passengers drive away from the long-term parking? And the airport had individuals that had been working as parking attendants for a very long time. And so, even with the pandemic and everything, the conversation was, what do we do? And one of the key things that our work highlighted was that was a key moment for the travelers. They really liked, because it fit in with the Albuquerque culture, and it was a very localized experience for travelers to come in, not only just in state but also out of state, to be greeted by a local, you know in the parking area, and to help with the parking. And that was a key wow moment because no other airport was doing it. It was a wow moment. It was a key touch point. So had they gone the traditional way of having automated checkpoints, um, yes, that was what everybody did, but it would have taken away from that wow experience. And then when we surveyed and interviewed customers in real time at that parking venues, what we identified was they really wanted those parking attendants. They knew them by name, especially the frequent flyers, and they looked forward to them, to seeing them. And they were like, oh, if I had an automated, parking like system, I would miss out on meeting Joe. So they did not move forward with those plans. And I think, when you talked about those wow moments for employees and how they convert it into wow moments for customers, that was another example where they, focusing on the customer and doing research that uncovered what was really going on, and their gut instincts were correct, was another example of how you have wow moments. And sometimes I've seen leaders in their in their journey on trying to improve and better, sometimes they may miss out on such opportunities, or in their case they could have taken away a wow experience, and that would have been such a tragedy.
I totally agree. And technology is great. It's nice to have the newest and the latest and greatest technology for an organization, but we're human and we need that social connection, right? And so it's a lot of customers still like to talk to people on the phone. They still like to have that one-on-one conversation. I, for one, prefer to talk to someone. Automated systems, I can't, I try to continue to talk through automated system and it doesn't work because they don't always understand you. When you're talking to a person, you get to have that one-on-one connection so that someone can really understand how you're feeling, because the automated system can't tell how you're feeling. People, when you're communicating, you can sense how your customer is feeling, and it helps you to change the way you interact with them. One of the things that we do here, we have the Transit Envoy program, and it's transit ambassadors. I like to use the word envoy. Ambassadors, everyone uses that, so I changed it and they're envoys. And they're individuals that are out in the community, face to face, helping our customers navigate the system. Like I said, customers know what they want, but they don't always know what they want. Yeah. And when it comes to transit, having good signage helps the customer to navigate your system. But when you have guests that come into your city, they don't know your system all the time. And it's like coming into the airport. So coming into a new city, there's transit, there's signs everywhere, but they don't know where they're going. So having that helpful, friendly, smiling person in front of you, helping you to navigate and making your entire experience of this city that you're visiting more pleasant for you, that's important. So that's one of the programs that we implemented when we started the whole customer relations division.
Now that's wonderful, Detra, and that's again very insightful of you. Something that we also recommend to all of our transit and aviation clients is, when you are focusing on the customer and the employee, and let's say you're looking to do improvements, and sometimes clients may do customer intercepts, or they may do customer interviews, to gather feedback. Something that we recommend to them a lot is, yes, collect the responses to a survey, but also try and capture, if you can, like brief video snippets of what their experience is like. Have them say it, tell it to you. Because like you said, Detra, and again, I really feel you're so insightful, because like you said, you really enjoy talking to customers. You want to hear their voice. You want to talk to them. And so, you may not be surprised. Some of our viewers may be surprised. We've gone into presentations to folks at the board level and the C-suite, where we're talking about, 70% said this, 80% said this, and they're hemming and hawing, and they're like, okay, we get it. And then we play video clips of some of the customers talking about that particular pain point, or like a video of a customer, especially in the transit space, talking about, well, this is what my frustration is, right? And it's almost like then you see light bulbs go on, because
Right.
then people lean in and they're like, oh, so it's almost like, yeah, they get the metric, but sometimes data is what it is, and it's telling a story. But then you get that visual, that behavioral flavor of, and by the way, 80% of your customers said this, and here are small video snippets of them saying this, and it
Mhm.
makes a whole lot of difference. Then it's like people get on board, and it's no longer like, well, my data says this,
Yes.
or I feel this. Then it's like, no, look, this is your customer saying this on record.
Right. And you're exactly right. Numbers are great, but when you have a real person telling their story in real time, that's very impactful. And not just an actor, but a real customer using the service every day that you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I'm surprised, still till this date, a lot of surveys and these intercepts, especially in the transit space, still
Mhm.
get done in that old format of a clipboard or a device. And I'm like, no, get that behavioral input, get that emotional video snippet. We don't have to produce hundreds, but if you have enough, then it's like baking a dish, right?
Yeah.
You throw the data in, you throw some of this emotional behavioral stuff in, and then you get that perfect dish. So that's what we propose. So finally, Detra, I want to ask you, I think we've had a great discussion so far. And I know I truly appreciate your customer centricity and
Thank
your focus on the customer and the employee. Reflecting on some of your past projects that focused on the customer experience or the employee experience, if you had to redo it, or if you were to do something new in the future, is there anything that you would improve or anything that you would do different than what you've done in the past?
Well, it's hard to say because, we just created our customer relations division in 2019. So to me, I think it's fairly new. Um, I don't think I would do anything different. What I would do would hire more envoys because I wanted to kind of test the waters. I'm one of those that like to, step outside of my comfort zone. So I wanted to test the waters on even having individuals out in the community. I mean, these individuals are rock stars, is what I call them. I mean, we were at train stations, on the platforms. We deliver schedules. We're on the buses, answering questions because we know drivers are they have a hard job already, and so we're on the buses answering the questions that the customers have to help the drivers out. So we do a lot. And so one of the things I would have done differently was to hire more because I only have five. And I tell everyone, I remind the team, we only have five, and everyone, they just love them. They're all over the place. So hiring more transit envoys, um, and more so just having a different system, I guess, for our customer care team.
Mm,
We have, I'm over the call center, and it's called customer care, and just having some type of system that's really going to help our team really do a better job with our customers and communicating. Our team does an awesome job because transit, you're seeing buses all over the screen, and customers are screaming at you and asking you, "Where's my bus?" and blah blah blah. But I think the only thing really would be to hire more people. I think our system, if I step back and look at it, I think our system is pretty good. I think it's working, but there's always ways to improve. There's always an opportunity to make things better. But yeah, I'm open minded.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Detra for you, hyper focused on the customer, hyper focused on improving the employee experience, and I wish you all the best in this journey that you're on, Detra. And I think this has been a great session as well. I'm sure that our viewers watching will pick up. If if not a whole bunch of I think they'll pick up a whole bunch of uh, things that they can implement in their thinking on how to stay focused on the customer and the employee experience. So I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show. Any final words or comments before we wrap up?
I want to thank you, Eti, for having me on the show. And just for anyone who's listening, just put people first. People is the common denominator of everything that we do. So when you put people first, all of the prosperity you're trying to do is going to happen. Profits are going to go out the water. You know, they're going to just soar. Your employees are going to be happy. Your customers are going to be happy. Just focus on people, and everything will be great. And that's me thinking, I'm in my little box. Everything is great in my little box, my world that I live in, but it can happen.
It absolutely can, Detra. Thank you so much for your comments. Again, we really appreciate you, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki, for having me.